Weekly Energy News. The PM has agreed to fast-track 6 renewable energy projects being built in the African nation. Kenya suffered from extreme drought this year, and part of the UK investment will also see a climate-resilient agriculture hub built near Lake Victoria to combat food scarcity. By fast-tracking finance into these clean, green projects with honest, reliable investment, the UK is supporting Kenya to advance and maintain its continent-leading climate credentials. The cash will be needed so that poor countries can switch away from fossil fuels, invest in renewable energy and other low-carbon technology, and cope with the impacts of extreme weather. Funding low-carbon economic growth in poor countries would help to lift billions of people out of poverty, create jobs and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The money is also needed to help poor countries adapt to the effects of the climate crisis, for instance by building more robust infrastructure and protections. Loss and damage is one of the main priorities for discussion at the COP27 summit. The war in Ukraine has so far hindered the global trade of metals across multiple countries. It also led to the circumstances causing Europe's current energy crisis. European nations continue to ramp up investment in other energy sources. With any luck, most countries will soon be able to replace natural gas supplies lost from the Nord Stream debacle. In fact, renewable energy production and resources hit record highs following the start of the war in Ukraine. In particular, solar panels and wind turbines saw a massive influx. There has been criticism on social media of delegates arriving at the COP27 United Nations Climate Change Conference in Egypt. Data from Flight Radar 24 shows 100 private jets landed at Sharm el-Sheikh between 4 and the 6th of November, the start of the summit. The day before the conference began, hundreds of environmental activists stopped private jets leaving Amsterdam's Schiphol airport. If our COP27 delegates had opted for a commercial flight from Amsterdam to Egypt, assuming they traveled premium class, their emissions would have been about half a ton each. The finding represents a brutal contrast with the need to cut emissions by half by 2030 to restrict global heating to 1.5 C and avoid the most devastating impacts of the climate crisis. There is no sign of the decline seen, the researcher said, heaping further pressure on the countries whose representatives are meeting at the UN COP27 Climate Summit in Egypt. A glimmer of hope comes from assessment of emissions from the destruction of forests. These have been declining slowly over the last 2 decades, though largely because of more new trees being planted rather than fewer being felled.